Okay, y'all. So I told y'all I found the letter written by Pontius Pilate to Tiberius Caesar. I'm fascinated with this story, by the way. This letter is 8 pages long, so I'm not gonna read the whole 8 pages, but I'm gonna read the part of the letter where Pontius Pilate and Jesus meet up, and Pontius Pilate trying to tell Jesus, "You got some enemies out there, and I don't want to stop you from doing your thing, but you gotta stop." So let's go. It says, "I extended to him my protection. It was on account of his sayings that I granted so much liberty to the Nazarene, for it was in my power to have him arrested and exiled to Pontus, but that would have been contrary to the justice which has always characterized the Roman government in all its dealings with men. This man was neither seditious nor rebellious. I extended to him my protection, unknown perhaps to himself. He was at liberty to act, to speak, to assemble, and address the people, and to choose disciples, unrestrained by any praetorian mandate. Should it ever happen, may the gods avert the omen. Should it ever happen, I say that the religion of our forefathers will be supplanted by the religion of Jesus. It will be to this noble toleration that Rome shall owe her premature death, while I, miserable wretch, will have been the instrument of what the Jews call providence and we call destiny. This unlimited freedom granted to Jesus provoked the Jews, not the poor, but the rich and powerful. It is true that Jesus was severe on the latter, and this was a political reason, in my opinion, for not restraining the liberty of the Nazarenes. Scribes and Pharisees, he would say to them, "You are a race of vipers. You resemble painted sepulchres. You appear well unto men, but you have death within you." At other times, he would sneer at the alms of the rich and proud, telling them that the mite of the poor was more precious in the sight of God. Complaints were daily made at the praetorium against the insolence of Jesus. They was complaining about Jesus every day, about what Jesus was saying against them. They couldn't stand it. Can't take the truth. But anyway, it says, "I was even informed that some misfortune will befall him, that it would not be the first time that Jerusalem had stoned those who called themselves prophets. An appeal would be made to Caesar. However, my conduct was approved by the Senate, and I was promised a reinforcement after the termination of the Parthian War. Being too weak to suppress an insurrection, I resolved upon adopting a measure that promised to restore the tranquility of the city without subjecting the praetorium to humiliating concession. I wrote to Jesus requesting an interview with him at the praetorium. He came. You know that in my veins flows the Spanish mixed Roman blood, as incapable of fear as it is of weak emotion. When the Nazarene made his appearance, I was walking in the basilica, and my feet seemed fastened with an iron hand to the marble pavement, and I trembled in every limb as does a guilty culprit. Though the Nazarene was as calm and as innocence itself, when he came up to me, he stopped, and by a signal sign, he seemed to say to me, 'I am here,' though he spoke not a word." Now listen, Pilate is saying here, his blood is mixed Roman and Spanish, and he's incapable of fear. He doesn't have any emotion. But when Jesus showed up, he was like he was in awe and trembling in fear, and his feet were fastened to the floor. And it's like Jesus spoke to him through the mind, and his mouth didn't even move. Okay, Lord. All right. It says, "For some time I contemplated with admiration and awe this extraordinary type of man, a type unknown to our numerous painters who have given form and figure to all the gods and the heroes. There was nothing about him that was repelling in his character, yet I felt too awed and tremulous to approach him. Jesus said, Jesus, said I unto him at last, and my tongue faltered. Jesus of Nazareth, for the last 3 years I have granted you ample freedom of speech, nor do I regret it. Your words are those of a sage. I know not whether you have read Socrates or Plato, but this I know, this is in your discourses a majestic simplicity that elevates you far above those philosophers. The emperor is informed of it, and I, his humble representative in this country, am glad of having allowed you the liberty of which you are worthy. However, I must not conceal from you that your discourses have raised up against you powerful and inveterate enemies. Nor is this surprising. Socrates had his enemies, and he fell victim of their hatred. Yours are doubly incensed against you on account of your discourses being so severe upon their conduct, against me on account of the liberty I have afforded you. So he's saying they mad at you and me, you know. He's saying, Jesus, the people are mad at you and they're mad at me because you doing this and I'm allowing you to do it. He says, they even accuse me of being indirectly leagued with you for the purpose of depriving the Hebrews of the little civil power which Rome has left them. My request, I do not say in order, is that you be more circumspect and moderate in your discourses in the future and more considerate of them, lest you arouse the pride of your enemies and they rise against you, the stupid populace, and compel me to employ the instruments of law. Oh my goodness. He's saying, look, this is not an order, but I suggest, okay? He wasn't playing with Jesus. It's like Pilate kind of knew who Jesus was. I don't know, but you know, it says the Nazarene calmly replied, Jesus calmly replied, Prince of Earth. The way he talks, Prince of Earth, your words proceed not from true wisdom. Say to the torrent to stop in the midst of the mountain gorge. It will uproot the trees of the valley. The torrent will answer you that it obeys the laws of nature and the Creator. God alone knows whither flow the waters of the torrent. Verily, I say unto you, before the rose of Sharon blossoms, the blood of the just shall be spilt. Jesus, like, look, you don't know true wisdom, okay? And look, everything on earth obeys the living God. The torrent of the where the water flows obeys God, and you know, my blood gonna have to be spilt regardless. I ain't gonna shut up. All right. He says, your blood shall not be spilt, said I with deep emotion. You are more precious in my estimation on account of your wisdom than all of the turbulent and proud Pharisees who abused the freedom granted them by the Romans. They conspire against Caesar and convert his bounty into fear, impressing the unlearned that Caesar is a tyrant and seeks their ruin. Insolent wretches. They are not aware that the wolf of the Tiber sometimes clothes himself with the skin of sheep to accomplish his wicked designs. I will protect you against them. My praetorium shall be an asylum both day and night. He says, Jesus carelessly shook his head and said with a grave and divine smile, when the day shall come, there will be no asylums for the Son of Man, neither in the earth nor under the earth. The asylum of the just is there, pointing to the heavens. That which is written in the books of the prophets must be accomplished. Young man, I answered mildly, you will oblige me to convert my request into an order. The safety of the province, which has been confided to my care, requires it. You must observe more moderation in your discourses. Do not infringe my order. You know the consequences. May happiness attend you. Farewell. Jesus answered again, Prince of Earth, replied Jesus, I come not to bring war into the world, but peace, love, and charity. I was born the same day on which Augustus Caesar gave peace to the Roman world. Persecutions proceed not from me. I expect it from others, and I will meet it in obedience to the will of my Father, who has shown me the way. Restrain, therefore, your worldly prudence. It is not in your power to arrest a victim at the foot of the tabernacle of expiation. So saying, he disappeared like a bright shadow behind the curtains of the basilica, to my great relief, for I felt a heavy burden on me, of which I could not relieve myself of in his presence. This letter about Jesus, written about Jesus from Pilate, is amazing. Like, it's like Pilate realized who he was in the sight of Jesus. I mean, basically, but that's the letter I found, y'all. That's not all of it. It's actually 8 pages long. If y'all want to go find it, it is historic letter written by Pontius Pilate to Tiberius Ceaser. And I only read a few parts on where Pilate and Jesus met up with each other and Pilate was trying to save Jesus from what was coming. But that's it, y'all.